Good morning, TikTok world. This is our first live, and I am here with my favorite author, Shirley A. Martin, who is the author of the Jook and Gypsy series. And the first one is The Bloodline Gypsy, which we are going to be focusing on today. And just a little background, I met Shirley when just after she had published Bloodline Gypsy. And at the same time, I was looking or reading a James Patterson book. Yes, I'm naming names. It was Witches and Warlocks. And I have this rule where if you don't catch my attention within 10 pages, then you don't count. You get put away. So I started with James Patterson, and he didn't make the 10-page minimum. Shirley Martin, I started her book, and I read it that night. And we're talking over 400 pages. So if that tells you anything. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk to Miss Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Good morning.
I'm so excited to be doing this with you. It's a long time coming.
I'm very excited as well.
So, you are the author of this amazing series. You have a cult following of fans. And I just want to find out more about, what inspired you to write this series.
Well, I've always been a fan of the genre. I've been a horror fan since I was an itty bitty baby. Werewolves, in particular, are my favorite. While there were many books and movies that I loved, I never felt satisfied. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know, where did werewolves come from? How did they come to be in the world? Also, I wanted to continue with the connection between werewolves and gypsies, as in the Lon Chaney movie, The Wolfman. And I wanted to make that connection very real and very tangible, and I wanted to explain it and bring it into the series. So that, I think, was my biggest inspiration for writing the book. I wanted to cover all the things. I wanted to write what I wanted to read. And up to that point, I had never read a book that satisfied all my curiosity and my desire and my in-depth interest in werewolves.
Okay, well, I can definitely see that. I've seen some movies lately and read some books, and they certainly don't have the bite and the grit that your series has had. So, how is yours different on that topic?
My series different. Now, I did try to keep some things traditional with werewolves, as far as the sway of the moon, the allergy to silver. Some things are very similar to other books and other stories that are more traditional, and I did that intentionally because it's something I love. But it also is very, very different. The Jook and Gypsies series goes back to the origin of werewolves and how, after centuries, they split into two different species. And I think that's the main difference, is I have two different species of werewolves up into modern times, that evolved into modern times. One of the species is the Reuve Bengalo. That is the gypsy term for devilish wolf, or the Rom term, correctly saying, for devilish wolf. They inbred in the wild. They bred amongst themselves in the wild and became inherently insane. They caused like a tripling effect with the human psychopath gene, and they became inherently insane. And they're just vicious. They're very much the serial killer. We're in werewolf form. The sexual, sadistic, Ted Bundy type of serial killer in werewolf form. They basically live their entire lives for bloodlust. And the other is the Jook, which is the Rom term for dog. And they are the werewolves that came down into the gypsy encampment so many centuries ago and went back into breeding into the bloodline of which both species originally came from. So they have a lot more human DNA. They co-partner and exist with humans. They protect humans from the Reuve Bengalo. But they're still very feral. They're kind of wild and feral, and you don't ever want to come across a very hungry Jook or a Jook that isn't sexually satisfied. They're very animalistic. And in the modern day story, now that's the history, that's how we get the two different species. As the story takes off, it's modern times, and it's about a young girl who is a descendant of this bloodline that forged the werewolves into the world originally. It's very rare bloodline now. After centuries, it's become diluted. And the Jook have to breed back into descendants of this bloodline. They're the only humans that can carry the offsprings of werewolves, procreate with them. In modern times, it's rare, so the Jook set out to find the bloodline. And the story is about a young girl living in America. She's completely unaware of her heritage. Her grandparents were immigrants from Hungary. They traveled the Renaissance circuit. Her dad is not in the picture. It's just her mom had a single, teenage pregnancy and raised her daughter with her parents. They're all killed in a motorhome accident except the teenage girl, who then goes to live with her biological father, who's on record, but she's never known. And during this time, she's starting to get premonitions and senses of some kind of evil. And as it turns out, and how the story unfolds, is both species of werewolf is tracking her down. So she's in very grave danger from the Reef and Gallow. And the Jook at this time, too, are tracking down this bloodline because they need it to exist, to procreate and to not go into extinction. So that is the basic of the whole story. And then how they all kind of converge. It becomes like a sweeping adventure saga. They have to travel across the United States, running for their lives. Unknown to the Jook of Europe and the Gypsies of Europe, the Natiza, the Gypsy Nation. Unknown to all of them, the Reef and Gallow have been breeding unchecked in the vast lands of the United States. So there is population here that no one ever expected to be. And this young girl is right in the center of it with only a few protectors, and it's about their adventure all together.
That is fabulous. And as a reader, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've read all three so far a few times. They're one of my favorite reads and to be read again for sure. So what have been some of your challenges and setbacks as an independent author? Because you're not with a traditional publishing house.
I tried to get traditionally published. I honestly feel the genre is so overwhelming on the market. There's so many werewolf books out there and so much horror. I think publishing houses are a little stung by just the volume, and people didn't want to reach out and try again yet another werewolf story. I was unknown. I don't feel that when I was soliciting traditional publishing houses, I was putting together my material as well as I could have to attract the synopsises, the inquiry letters, all the things you have to do to get a traditional publisher. I don't feel that I was at that time educated enough to really present myself. So I ended up going with self-publishing. I published with Author House. Originally, it was very expensive at that time, thousands of dollars to publish. And didn't really go anywhere. I mean, I had fans and the books were doing fantastic, but sales and just advertising, marketing, and royalties were so minimal. I republished with Kindle Direct Publishing. They have a lot more to offer. And they have monthly royalty payouts, and you also get a percentage of the Kindle Unlimited that they put out for readers who buy the Kindle Unlimited package. You get a percentage of those books that are read in your royalties, so there are benefits to it. One of the drawbacks was the reviews didn't transfer over, and that is something we're working on right now, getting rectified. But I would say for an indie author, the biggest issue is finances for marketing. If you can market, get the book out there, and it's a good book, and people love it, you're going to do really well. But finances are a big part of it, and a marketing plan and continued perseverance with marketing.
Speaking of getting it out there, didn't Michael Mendelsohn of Patriot Pictures...
Showed an interest, yes.
Yes.
Contacted me. Sales weren't what I think he was looking for at the time. And shortly following that, we started having some problems with... When I lost all my reviews, I couldn't market because people wouldn't buy the book without reviews. So I kind of had to start all over again. And so it was a really big setback.
Yeah, no kidding. So what are some of the greatest rewards that
fans.
The fans?
The fans are my favorite people in the whole world. I don't feel that anybody who hasn't read my book or connects with my books really knows me or understands me, but my fans, we share a passion we share a passion. Writing is an incredibly intimate art form, and you put all your heart and soul into your work. And when people connect on a deep personal level with that, it is the most rewarding thing you could ever experience. And I've met fans. I have fans in Great Britain. I have fans in Australia and in Canada. I have a public Facebook page where people contact me on a personal level, and a lot of these fans have become people that I interact with over social media, and they're friends now. They're friends. I've had fans couldn't wait for the new book to come out, buy it, and write the first review. It was so important to them. I've had fans do fundraisers back when I was self-publishing and I was still struggling with finances for that. I've had fans run self-fundraisers on my behalf, and I've had other fans contribute $1,000 to those fundraisers just because they love the book so much and they want to be supportive. The books have brought people into my life I would have never met or even knew existed. And they're incredible people, just miraculous people all over the world. That's absolutely the most amazing thing I've ever experienced.
So tell me about some of the most memorable fans.
Oh God, there's so many. There's so many memorable fans. One fan in particular, though, I ended up writing a character for him in the second book because he was very high up in the military. And he fell in love with the book, and he tracked me down and said he wanted to, to talk to me about my books. And we became kind of friends on social media, and he texted me, and he would be stationed all over the world, and we'd interact a little bit about the book as he was reading it. And then his knowledge on weapons, on strategic warfare, and everything became a keen interest to me because that all comes to play in the story. So I actually tapped into his knowledge, and he helped me out a lot with, what kind of weapons would be the correct weapons to be used from, people from the Middle East coming across, just getting everything dialed in to where it was very realistic. And then I ended up writing his character into one of the warriors in the book series.
Speaking of realism, that's one of my favorite parts, is because you've done so much research for the books. It really blurs the line between reality and fiction, which is, especially when I first started reading the book, I would look outside after dark. I lived out in kind of on the edge of the world on a ranch next to the mountains, and I would look out and make sure there wasn't anything stalking me. So
I think as much, I love science, I love history, and I think dragging as much realism into any story gives it so much more depth and tangibility. And it was so fun to do that research and to go to every country and find out, well, what do they call werewolves? What is their folklore? And there is a werewolf in every culture that I have investigated. And it's so fascinating that this has been, it's folklore. And folklore is a wonderful, fascinating thing. It goes back for centuries, So I loved doing the research and bringing that into the story. I loved doing research of the Rom people and their journey from India as they migrated through Europe. And I also enjoyed integrating Rom language, customs, and different aspects of their lifestyle into the book as well.
Yeah, you have a glossary or a small Rom dictionary in the back of your books.
Yes,
I think that is very cool. As somebody who loves languages, I find that very cool.
I love it myself. There is that one phrase and I use it a lot, that the Rom people have for friends that are bonded by heart and spirit. And I'm not 100% sure about the pronunciation because the Rom language is not a written language, but it's Tesoran, and it's in my book. And they have words or little tiny phrases that encompass an entire emotional category. And I love that about them.
Well, for all your existing fans and for all your future fans, is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
I am working on volume 4. It's taken me 5 years. to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a lot of personal setbacks, a lot of financial setbacks, and with losing the reviews, and then my computer crashed, and I lost the first 8 original chapters of volume 4. Had a bunch of setbacks, and then just probably going through retiring, getting on Social Security, trying to make this work. I didn't save for a retirement. I literally put everything in my midlife into this book series. I'm banking on it that it would, pay off in the end and it would support me in my old age. That has not happened yet. But I mean, it's been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing to complain about. Like I said, the people I've met, the fans I've met, and people across the country I've met, and the world I've met, has been worth every single penny of it. But it's hard to write and be creative when you have to work so hard and you're so financially stressed. So I think it took me a while to get very, very dedicated to getting number 4 out there. I have a research trip to do that's on the agenda for the next couple weeks. That's been the big holdup. And once that research trip is done, because I have to research everything, I have to write from my own personal experience. I can't just research it online. I have to go there. I have to feel it. I have to know what it smells like and what it tastes like. And so that's been a big holdup, but we're getting ready to do that. And I'm hoping to have the 4th book out this year. Absolutely. I'm dedicated to having the 4th book out this year.
Awesome. I am definitely excited to read that. And I know many of your other fans have been bugging you.
My other fans, pretty much. A lot of people hate me. I have to admit, I've gotten some death threats. I got the Liam Nielsen. If you are writing, you are safe. But if you are not writing, I will find you. I will kill you. Kind of texts in my social media. So yeah, I definitely have to get on the ball with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And guys, check out Show Off Your Book, Girl.
This also is a 2-time award winner with Reader's Favorite. A special acknowledgement from the Paranormal Romance Guild. Now, they did say this was a little bit gritty for them, but they still gave it a 4-star review and a pretty darn a really good write-up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was so much fun hanging out with you this morning.
Yes, you as well.
And we are going to talk again. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching and listening.